Good to see you all. Thank you, Gavin, for the introduction. I don't know how shall I just say, oh, I have, sorry. So, I prepared a speech for you. Maybe the other side. Okay, technology convergence, what does that mean? I think all people here in the room have different perspectives of what technology convergence could be. And, well, I thought I want to share my ideas of what it mean to me. And I want to start with the presentation with this. I don't know if it looks familiar to you. It's a top sleeper. Maybe it's only in Europe made. I'm not sure of that. But it became a very popular combination in international road freight transport in the mid-20th century. You could create extra loading length by cutting back on the length of the cabin. And in addition, you could save on travel time because one driver could sleep in a sleeping area and while the other was driving. From the perspective of healthy working conditions, the top sleeper was viewed with suspicion. You would think that there would therefore have been a legal ban on the top sleeper. But that was not the case. In Europe, the top sleeper still is legally permitted. However, the directive for weight and dimensions introduced a legal maximum loading length, and the advantage for the transporter was lost. And the photo shows also that reducing fuel consumption was not the highest priority at that time. And the reason why I use this example is because it shows how decisive human motivations which exist in a certain area are for how technology ultimately takes shape. You probably won't know this couple. The purpose of HVTT symposia and ISWIM symposia, in addition to sharing knowledge and experience, is to become acquainted with other perspectives that should provide an inspiration. It should inspire. The collaboration with ISWIM under the title Technology Convergence means that both communities have the opportunity to learn about each other's knowledge and experience, and hopefully new perspectives will emerge. The mere encounter between people from different parts of the world, each with their own thinking and policy framework, is inspiring. I would like to explain what technology convergence means to me. That is also a journey through what has inspired me over the years. The journey starts with me being a student at the Art Academy who attended a lecture organized by the Maastricht University. I've always hopped on two legs. University attracted me, but I also had a creative talent. I studied autonomous art at the Maastricht Art Academy, and occasionally I attended lectures of the university. On one evening of this lecture, the then unknown media German expert Joe Grobel, a flamboyant professor who later filled many pages in gossip magazines, together with his partner, spoke there. It was the 90s, and the computer and the internet were making their way into society. There were many internet gurus who made predictions about how society would be completely changed by this technology. The gifted speaker, Joe Grobel, created a dynamic atmosphere that made you feel like you were sitting in the front row of a roller coaster. I was enchanted. A few months later, I quit art school and was enrolled for the Cultural and Science Studies course at Maastricht University. In the third year, I chose the technological culture direction. When I started my studies in the early 90s, I met my later husband. Together we made adventurous trips to Eastern Europe. It was not so long ago that the wall separating East and West Germany in 1989 fell and independent states emerged from the ashes of the Eastern Bloc. The atmosphere of the communist era was still strongly felt. On the way to Eastern Europe through Germany, we took a break at parking lots along the motorway. That's where my passion for road freight transport awoke. Unlike virtual reality, transporting goods by truck was something that you could smell, that you could hear, that you could see. The fact that goods had to be transported from A to B would always remain the case, in a way that appealed to me. My thesis was entitled The Rootless Cowboy. It described the development of technology in the truck cabin and its influence on the driver's working life. Like how he used to drive out of the gate, and the boss only heard from him when he called at the place of arrival. Thanks to track and trace technology, the driver was always in view. And despite the fact that the driver's free life has been considerably reduced by new technologies, the truck driver continues to associate his profession with freedom to this day. Even though automation in trucks is progressing, the truck driver still feels he's behind the steering wheel. One of the books that has strongly influenced me during my study is The Control Revolution by James R. Banniger from 1986. Does anyone know that book? No one. Okay. So it was 1986 that he wrote it. In the book, Banniger examines the important place that collecting, processing, storing, and transferring information has in our modern society. According to him, there has been a constant crisis of control since the Industrial Revolution. Technology development means that the control of processes has become beyond the physical capacity of humans and animals. As an example, he cites the problems that railway companies had in the 19th century with coordinating travel schedules. There was single track between stations. Agreements had been made about departure times. But if a train was delayed en route, fate determined the further course of action. There were no means of communication with which people could contact each other remotely. Train accidents were therefore common. Preventing train accidents was all the more important in the early days of the development of the railways, so as not to negatively influence public opinion. The association with a runaway monster would deter travelers and therefore also investors. There is a similarity with high-capacity transport. The railway companies tried to minimize the risks of train accidents with all kinds of control techniques. In this way, a clear structure was created within the organization. Roles and responsibilities were clearly delineated, manuals and instructions were created, and daily reports were drawn up in a standardized manner so that data from different train stations could be compared. It taught me that technological development was not only a history of a series of artifacts, a steam engine, a telegraph, a bulb, a light bulb, but that it also involved a whole range of control techniques, soft techniques. In fact, all artifacts in our environment are the solidified result of ideas, intentions, agreements, guidelines, etc. I can use anything as an example. Whether it is the relationship between the shape and design of this room and acoustics, the composition of the fabric of my jacket, or the color of the light, it all has a history behind it, a world behind it. Let me take an example close to our work area. Road markings. It seems like a boring affair. It just lies there. We usually drive past it without consciously noting it. But nothing is less true. There's a whole world behind road markings. I don't know where to start. For example, road markings must meet a series of functional requirements. There are requirements for adhesion to the road surface, visibility, weather resistance, skid resistance. These functional requirements have not always been the same and will also be subject to change in the future. Think of automation in traffic that need to read the road markings, electrification through induction, or the circular economy. They will lead to different functional requirements. The road markings are the language of the road. They have an explicit role in ensuring road safety. For this, it is important that the language of the road markings is understood by road users. And when you cross a national border, or the border between federal states, a completely different language is not spoken. That is why standards are agreed internationally, and these standards are also subject to change. Machines and equipment have been and are being developed for applying and maintaining road markings. There is a market where there is a competition on certain distinctive qualities. There is a whole industry behind it. These machines and equipment are also subject to change, for example, due to decarbonization and digitalization. Once the road markings have been applied, the markings must be maintained. This must be coordinated with the maintenance regime of pavements. And there are also associations to exchange knowledge and experience within the field of road markings. And these associations hold or participate in conferences, have websites, publish magazines, such as the magazine Road Makers here in Australia. And it looks that the nice logo from this organization has the same origin as the designer of the logo of the technological Convergence. Is that true? I don't know. No, it's not true. Because in a way, they look similar. Very nice. Okay. Black Boxes on Wheel. I think some in the room will recognize this title. In 2001, I started working as a freight transport advisor at the National Road Authority in the Netherlands with the unpronounceable name for foreigners, Rijkswaterstaat. So, a proud organization with a long history of protecting the country located in a river delta against flooding, securing drinking water supplies, and managing the main roads and main waterways. In my work, I was surprised that the perspective of car drivers was dominant in the organization. Even for the civil engineers, who were responsible for the design and maintenance of road assets, there was little interest in monitoring road use by freight transport and acquiring knowledge about expected developments in the truck fleet. whilst both parties are actually looking at the same relationship, just one from the bottom and the other from the top. The condition of the road surface influences the wear process of the heavy-duty vehicle, and conversely, the heavy-duty vehicle and the way it is loaded influences the wear process on the road surface. There was also little sense of urgency among the management of Rijkswaterstaat and the policy department to combating overloading, whilst heavy-duty vehicles are decisive when it comes to the carrying capacity of road assets and design. How could it be that road freight transport was so in the blind spot of a national road authority and the policy department of the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management? Later I noticed that this was not a Dutch anomaly, but that this remarkable imbalance was happening worldwide to various degrees. Later I was privileged to lead a team of international experts for the OECD ITF studies policies to extend the life of road assets. There, with the help of my international colleagues, I was able to shape the ideas that are also more or less the theme of this conference, technology convergence. The idea behind this figure in the OECD ITF report is that the lifespan of road assets cannot only be influenced by traditional solutions in civil engineering, such as stronger materials, increasing design standards, smarter asset management, but also by looking at traffic and transport management. Take, for example, the difference between super singles and double tires. The former contribute to accelerated wear of pavements. Some countries allow an increase in the maximum vehicle weight, provided that the double tires are used. An example where regulations contribute to a longer lifespan of road assets. Does anyone recognize this recent disaster? Yes? Okay. Sorry? No, that's true. So in one of the two parallel sessions after this opening session, the ZFES project will be presented. The ZFES project is a research project funded by the European Commission that examines which types of heavy-duty vehicles we will need in the future in order to achieve climate objectives. And when developing new heavy-duty vehicle concepts, ZFES raises numerous issues that will sooner or later become social issues. For example, safety issues during incidents and in tunnels with battery electric and fuel cell electric vehicles. That plays a role on the roads, but also on the rail. A recent example is the disaster with a car carrier named Fremantle Highway, that's this ship, which was loaded with electric cars. A fire broke out that was only extinguished days later. 23 crew members lost their lives. An environmental disaster could be prevented. Also, the combination of battery electric vehicles and fuel cell electric vehicles with the transport of dangerous goods is an issue that has not yet been resolved. So, the intention is that new vehicle concepts developed within ZFES will also be tested in practice on cross-border corridors through Europe. Some of these corridors are multimodal, which means that transshipment takes place from road to rail or from road to ferry. Permits are required from the authorities concerned with these tests. In addition to vehicle authorities and road authorities, you also have to deal with port authorities, terminal operators, rail operators, ferry services. It is estimated that at least 25 different authorities are involved in obtaining permits. Due to the strong separation of roles, tasks, and responsibilities that has been introduced by the authorities that are control techniques, the problem belongs to everyone and therefore actually belongs to no one. This separation of roles, tasks and responsibilities exists between policy and executive agencies, between and within executive agencies, and geographically administratively. Climate change requires acceleration. This could happen if authorities step beyond their own boundaries and look for the most optimal solution directions together with the industry in the development phase of new heavy-duty vehicle concepts. And here I come to the end of my presentation. And I think we are very privileged that we are here together at this lovely location, at the hospitality of our Australian friends, and to have the opportunity to share knowledge and experience and to learn and to grow. So that is, I hope it will be a very inspiring conference. Thank you.